Welcome back to Build a Lot Acres. In today's episode, we're at my buddy Pat's house, and we're going to show you some of his car collection. Stay tuned.
Okay, so this is Pat from LMG Garage, and today we are going to be doing a mini tour of some of his cars that he owns, which as you can see, just in this one building he has 7, so, and a bike, so, plenty of stuff. Let's start off with this, the black 1981 Trans Am. So this is a turbo 6-cylinder, correct?
No, turbo V8.
It is a turbo V8.
Yep.
And is it an automatic or an...
It's automatic. I never put the standard on the turbos because you have to spool the turbo up a certain amount. That's why a lot of times you won't see some of the standard. You always see an automatic because you're going to have a certain torque converter that's going to spin the engine, and the faster you move, the more boost you get.
Okay, that's cool. And do you know right about what this makes for power?
About 200 horsepower, but I've done a couple things to it because I can't leave anything alone. It's about 260, 270. And it's a driver. It's an original car.
Yeah, I was gonna say this definitely doesn't look like some of the other stuff that you have. That definitely looks more race car. So I take it that considering that you want to start off with this, you probably like this car.
I've had this car for many years. I call this Old Faithful. My boys grew up in this. It's an original paint car. It's a Y86 car, which means it has the WS6 package, which is the handling, and it has disc brakes all the way around, which was a big deal in 1981.
Oh yeah, so I was going to say a lot of cars back then either had all drums or discs in the front and then drums in the back.
And yeah, it's all original interior. It's when I got it, it had 30-some odd thousand miles. It has 80,000 miles now. Kind of an interesting thing here. While you're driving this, as you accelerate, there's a boost gauge right here.
I see.
And it actually shows the lights come on when you're driving, normal and then high. High hits about 120 miles an hour. Not that I've ever had it that high, but it definitely has. I saw the light on once or twice.
Yeah.
So
I noticed that you said this car is turbocharged, and that is a boost gauge, correct?
yes, and if you look, it'll have normal when you start, medium when you're doing about 70, and then it hits about 120, it'll hit onto high. And high boost for this right here from the factory is 9 pounds. I have it set at 12 pounds. Again, I've done a couple things to it. Now the interesting thing about a turbocharger is it cuts up the sound. And if you've noticed, a turbocharged car is always nice and quiet, except for a high whistle. So this has no mufflers. This has straight pipes all the way through, and it sounds nice and healthy. In fact, I can start it up for you if you'd like.
So notice on the side of this it says crossfire injected, and obviously the license plate says expire. So what's so special about this?
Well, first of all, I can't leave my hands off of anything except for this car right here. This is 100% original. One owner car, came up from Florida. I'll show you a couple things about this. First of all, this right here is a 1984. 1983, there was no Corvette in it because they were designing this car. This car was such a big deal back in 1984. This is completely a redo of everything. And I'm gonna pop the hood and show you. Kind of a cool cars. They're known as C4s.
Yes.
This has very low miles, and it's a one-owner car. And again, 100% original.
Oh.
And this right here is 2 years only, this motor. This is what they call a crossfire injection. It has two, that'll stand. It has two throttle body injections. And we'll show you another one on the tune port. This right here, either you got a good one or a bad one. This is a really good one. So low miles. The cool thing about a C4 is the only one that has a clamshell hood, and you're able to see the whole suspension. Very interesting suspension, very large tires, huge disc brakes. One of the best handling cars ever produced is a C4 Corvette. This is the crossfire injection. As I said earlier, it's only made 2 years, but this car has such a modern suspension, braking, and all that it's you know, it keeps up with modern traffic. I had it on the highway on 290 and on the Mass Pike, and I had absolutely no problem keeping up with everybody. In fact, maybe passing a couple people. It's hard to believe it's 38 years old, but it still handles like a dream. These things were a big deal in 1984. There was a waiting list on these. There we go. It's from the factory. I have not done anything like this. This is 100% stock. This is 205 horsepower, 325 foot-pounds of torque. The torque is where you get everything. Don't forget, you have a wind coefficient of this vehicle is the most aerodynamic car in the 80s. Of course, you know, technology goes along and it is more aerodynamic now. This is so slippery.
Wind tunnels?
In the wind tunnels and all that in the highway. I want to show you something else that's pretty cool. It's the headlights of these cars. It's kind of an acrobatic trick.
They're pop-ups, correct?
Well, sort of. You ever been to the circus? Okay. They go 160 degrees.
Yes, I know there's, I forget the exact one, but there's some old Porsche that does that as well. I believe the 928 does that.
Yeah, good. Just cool. You know, it's just, they outdid themselves with the car. Now, if you see, now don't forget, 1981, this is 3 years difference. 1981, that Trans Am was a real slippery, you see all the aerodynamic foils and all that. But look how far they came in 1984. And then we go to 2006, a Mustang GT, which is a pretty aerodynamic car too. Look how low this car is still. Yeah. One of the things about a C4 is they have this large frame rail. And you actually sit under the frame. This is, when you're driving this car, in fact, I'd let you sit in there if you want. Come in this side. It's like you're in a F1 race car. And it's very safe because you have to go through that frame rail before it
You
hits.
sure you want to do this, Pat? You might never get him out of there.
That's okay. I need another set. I'm sick of mine. Mine all grew up. Isn't it kind of neat how low you are? It's very, and I'll show you, if you want, I'll show you the dash. It's all digital. So just turn the key again. You're not going to hurt it. Turn the key, start it up. There we go. And if you want, you can start it.
Okay, so this is the first generation that Ford went back to the retro styling on the Mustangs, correct?
Yes, this right here is the 2006, 2005. They came out with the retro. They had different wheels on the GT. For 2005, they have the pony style wheels on this, which is an option. This right here is the second year of the 3-valve, 300 horsepower, 4.9 V8. Pushing 300 horsepower, about 325 foot-pounds of torque. It goes pretty good. It's governed at 155. You can change that. I may have changed this. So it goes a little faster than that because it's not a heavy car, and 300 some odd horse. That's a lot of horsepower. I know we have 500-600 horsepower. But don't forget, 300 horsepower is a lot of horsepower when you're driving down the highway. You can we do 12 seconds with this with slicks. With regular tires, we'll do 13s.
That's not bad.
But because if you're spinning, you ain't winning. If you can hook this with slicks, you do just fine. This right here has the low the 323 rear end also. We've done a little work to it here and there.
Yeah, because from what I remember, Ford did the new Edge before this, and then a lot of people were saying, oh, the Mustangs don't look like a Mustang anymore, so on and so forth, and so they kind of went back to their roots with this, which very much looks like that Mustang up there, which is a
That
Mustang.
is 30 years difference. That is a, let's make sure our math's right. 1966.
So 40.
40 years, I'm sorry. 40-year difference, 1966 Mustang. And that's kind of almost restored. We still got, I have different wheels coming on. I have some more trim. Underneath is all, the car is an immaculate car. It is from Los Angeles. I have all the paperwork for that. But this right here is this is a retro style Mustang. It handles like a dream. It goes down the road real good. I bought it from the original owner. I like a lot of original owner cars. It's kind of what I'm into. And this right here was an older lady who just never drove it. 30,000 miles, and it's how many years old? It's a 2006.
Yeah, so it's 15, 16.
Yeah.
And it is 30,000 miles.
That's approximately 2,000 miles a year. And it doesn't see any snow, rain, or like that. It stays in here. And
Okay, so we've shown you guys 3 nice looking cars, 3 low mileage, very nice cars. And now I'm going to show you guys not 1, but 2 pace cars. And so this one is 86, right?
this is a 1986 pace car. It was the first year since 1975 that you could actually get a convertible top. We'll show you the motor. Remember we were talking about the Crossfire?
Yeah.
This right here is a tune port. This right here is the yellow and graphite pace car. Yellow cars are the real pace cars. It's a long story. But they're significantly more expensive than a regular convertible. They both have $6,000 more because it's yellow graphite with the pace car logo on it. I do have this right here came from Peon Chevrolet. He had this in his room and he gave it to me. He had it up for sale. And then I told him I had that car. He says, you can have it then. And when he did that, I actually put his logo on my race car just as a sign of gesture. It was very cool. This right here, these are A-mod wheels, which are the same ones as the ZR1. We have 315s in the back, 2 85s in the front. The back wheels are just under, it's 11 and 3/4 inches wide. Really handles extremely well. It does get up and go. But again, it's an old car. It's about 240 horse. Didn't do much to this one because it's a pace car. I'm a little concerned. I want to keep it, all original. 345 foot-pounds of torque. That's what they get out of them. I'm gonna pop the hood. Remember we're talking about the crossfire injection. Okay, this right here is a tune port injected motor. Don't forget the Crossfire had the large 2 rams. This right here is sequential. The air comes through here. We have the injectors in here. They're feeding directly into combustion chambers. A little better on gas, more horsepower, a little more reliable. They've made the tune port from 1985 up to 1991. In 1992, they came out with the LT1. So this is the pace car here. Again, same headlights. Again, you see the more aggressive tires. I do drive this. It's a daily driver. It's registered. I drive it all the time. I do drive this, and it goes around corners extremely well. It really, really handles nice. Get a lot of thumbs up on it, so I really like it. And it is a little dirty. I drive it all the time. That's why. We'll go over and look at another pace car.
All right. So this is this 81, 82?
This is a 1981, and it does need I took it out of extensive storage, and I just had to go through and clean it. This right here is the Recaro edition. Has the Recaro seats in it.
Yeah, normally if I heard the word Recaro edition, I think some 90s, early 2000s
Yeah.
Japanese tuner, not
Yeah, this right here is
like a muscle car.
one of 2,000 made, and it was made for, first of all, they were telling everybody about their Turbo Trans Am. They were very proud of this. That's why it says Turbo Trans Am, big thing. And it's this is not for Indianapolis, it's one of the rare pace cars. It's from the Daytona 500, one of 2,000. The year before that, 1980, they had the Indianapolis 500, and that was one of 5,000. So this is a NASCAR race instead of a I-Kart and F1 race. So it's a little different.
So I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
So this is 1981, correct?
Correct.
And that Trans Am is 1981, correct?
It sure is.
Which one do you prefer?
That's Old Faithful over there. I love that. I don't care. Some of the cars I have are worth more than that car. That's my baby. That is my car.
So the 5 cars you've shown us so far, Pat, they're all pristine condition, relatively speaking. These two, especially the Torino, not so much. What's up with that?
Again, one of our hobbies here. This right here is a 1968 Torino GT. The rear end and all that. The rear is special. It's a special car. I like special cars. This is a special car because it has a fastback. Which the reason why they made that is because it's aerodynamic for the super speedways. Have you ever heard of a Dodge Daytona and a Superbird?
Yes.
This right here is the reason they made them cars, because this car and the Mercury Cyclone, this is a Torino GT.
Yeah.
We're beating them so bad on the races because, believe it or not, in 1968, this is what aerodynamics looked like.
And then they came out with the 3-foot tall wing.
Right. They had all sorts of other crazy stuff. But this right here is what they were fighting. They were winning so well. This right here is a barn find. I picked it up. It was in a barn since 1993. I picked it up and I said I was going to save it, and it's been in my barn for 10 years also. So it's a 390 S code, all original. Believe it or not, it has original paint on it. It's going to be a frame off restoration.
So you're going to repaint it?
I'm going to restore it. Yeah, I'll take it apart, nut and bolt, and we'll go from there. And that's what we're in the process of doing right here with this Mustang. If you want to look over here. This right here was a nut and bolt restoration.
So this is a 64.5 or 66, correct?
1966, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can tell by the lights because the 65, 67, 68, 69s have more aggressive looking lights on them, so to speak.
Bingo. Whole bottom has been all done. It was in extremely nice shape. Again, a California car. It's got a 3-speed standard on the floor with a very rare option known as a bench seat. There's no bucket seat, it's actually a bench seat. It wasn't on a lift, I would actually show you. It's kind of neat though.
Oh.
Interior's all restored. We've done a lot of work to it so far. I got probably another 500 hours on it. It'll be all done. It runs like a top. It's nice little car. And this right here, we haven't touched yet. I did drive it a little bit, and it goes real fast. It's a 390, 335 horse S code, and it seems to go pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's cool that you're keeping it the V6, because I know with a lot of guys, if they got a 3-speed 6-cylinder Mustang, they put a big V8 in it, put a 4-speed in it, and make it into a fake GT, so to speak.
And it looked like every one of them out there.
Yeah.
I like stuff that's, again, I like unique things and different things. And whenever I buy a car, I look at it. You'll never see me with a car that everybody else has. I got unique cars, and that's what I want to do. I want to show you a Harley Davidson that we picked up a little while ago too, if you'd like to see this.
Okay, Pat, so I know she has at least a dozen cars here, and from what I understand, this is the only motorcycle here, so what's up with this?
This right here, it was such a good deal, I had to buy it. It was just sitting in a friend of mine, he's a real good friend of mine, sitting in his garage, and I just couldn't see it sitting there anymore. So I got it running, I cleaned it up a little bit, it was very dirty when I got it. I'm gonna paint it. This right here is a 1982 Sportster, but it has a unique tank. The tank is an aftermarket tank, but it's a smaller, what they call a fat bob tank. So if you look at it quick, you think it's a bigger motorcycle than it really is. This is a Sportster though. It's a 1000 cc. It's a 1982. 1982 is a very pivotal year for Harley Davidson. Remember, have you ever heard of the AMF debacle from 1968 through 1981?
I've briefly heard about it, but I don't understand much about it.
Right, well, AMF kind of took a lot of money from Harley Davidson, and they bought the company, and they ran it in the ground. This right here is the first one Willie G. Davidson designed, and this right here was the first non-AMF since the late 60s. So this is kind of a special bike. It's again, I like unique things. This is a special bike, Sportster. Kind of looks like a bigger bike than it really is. I have an S&S carburetor on it. Again, we're making some covers for it, trying to make it unique a little bit. It does have 3-disc brakes and all that. It's kind of a cool bike. It's a forward controls. Just a bike that I just bought at a whim, and I really like it. Really like it a lot. It's just, I always wanted one. Well, I got one.
I have a question. Now, I noticed a lot of your stuff is from like 81, 82. Is that hold a special place in your heart? Is that around when you were graduating high school, or is there a reason?
Graduated in 1982. I was 19 years old when the C4 came out. I worked at Russell Harrington Cutlery at $3.25 an hour. I saw the boss drive by in a C4, and I says, I want to get one of them. And that was $34,000. Well, making $3 and change, $34,000 might as well be $3 million.
So being in the car, collecting and restoring hobby so long, have you noticed a trend that a lot of guys and girls tend to buy cars from when they were a certain age?
Yes, and that's why the '80s cars are gaining steam. When I had my Trans Am, I remember no one liked them. It's you know, now I have crazy offers. You can buy a small house for what I would have been offered. Same thing with the C4s. I bought the C4s. I don't buy them because they're investment. I buy them because I like them. And now these are going through the roof, along with the Trans Ams and all that. So yeah, what it is you know, people who were, you know, growing up in the mid '80s are now in their 50s, and everybody knows the 50s. You know, when you're 50 and above, and you were successful in your career, that's where you make the most money. Your house is paid for, your kids are out of the house, you have a little extra income, and that's why a lot of people buy the cars that they've always wanted. And when I'm driving my Corvette or my Trans Am, I feel like I'm 19 again, and I'm not 19. And I feel like I'm a skinny guy too, but I'm not skinny either.
Okay, so I noticed that you have 7 cars in there, you have another 2 cars in there, and you have a bunch outside, but this one, looking very nice, very pretty, sitting right in front of the garage. Is it normally outside, or is it just now outside because you just drove it or whatever?
I just washed it. It does stay outside a lot because it's a driver. I actually use this truck for what it is. It's a farm truck, and I like it. And it's not perfect, and that's what I like about it. Got it from New Hampshire, and the New Hampshire guy got it out of Nebraska. I have the original title that says original. He bought it from the original owner. I drove from Pittsfield, New Hampshire, down here 4.5 hours, and it ran like a top. So it's a 318 polyspheric motor. It's a 8-foot 3-inch bed, which if you look at the bed, it's huge. But they were very proud of the 8-foot 3-inch. All the competitors had 8-foot beds, and they said you can put a piece of plywood. Well, you can put a piece of plywood, but you can still shut the tailgate also.
Yeah.
And what I really like about this truck right here, how many people have a new truck? You have to go like this. Look at this. I can touch. I can pick. Have you see the new truck? You can't take anything out of it.
Yeah,
Here.
my Uncle Chris has a 2020 or 2021 Ford F-150, and yeah, you can't get anything out of it.
It's crazy. This right here was built with a double wall. It has more of a commercial back window. It has what they call the small back window instead of the large back. The large back window, believe it or not, was an option. I just think it looks cool, so cool with the small back window.
It's more antique.
This thing runs and drives like a new truck. You can actually not have to hop up or anything. Just sit in it like this. I sit and have my coffee because there's no cup holders in it. Whenever I go get a coffee or something like that, I sit here like this, and I love the sound it makes.
Now, is this all original with the lights and the bumper?
The lights in the bumper. The bumper, I think, has been is a custom piece, but I think it's kind of neat. The lights are correct. The body has never had any rust on it. Again, it came out from the Midwest, and they don't use a lot of salt and all that. And this was on a farm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it wasn't really ever driven on salty roads anyway.
Right. This right here is, everybody knows what a 318 is, but from 1960 or 61 to 1968, they had what they call the 318 polyspheric motor. And what that means is it's canted valves. Oops. It has canted valves. Now, this being a commercial truck, because they weren't making, Chrysler was not making trucks that are comfortable. They were trucks that are tough. So say I had to work on this truck, and I had to do something really, really crazy. This is one of the unique features of this truck. The hood goes straight up in the air.
It's gonna make it a lot easier to get the engine out or do whatever.
Yeah, and this is a little over 100,000 miles on it. Never been taken apart. Again, all the places you usually see rusted, nothing's rusted. And I'll start it out for you. And it's nice and quiet.
How quiet is the V8? I mean,
You'd be surprised. Now, I'm not touching nothing. And this thing has been moved yesterday.
Purrs like a kitten.
Is that quiet? That's got a little secret in it. Of course, again, I can't leave things alone.
you barely even tell it's running.
You'll be able to tell. You ready?
Yeah.
I put baffles in the muffler, so when it gets a lot of pressure, you can actually hear it. It's kind of neat. It's Smitty's exhaust. I have a dual exhaust on it. I didn't want to get the big pipes, I wanted the small pipes. I want to make it look like a farm truck because that's what it is. And it's my little baby.
So
You can hop right inside there.
okay, so seeing is this a farm truck? It has a farm truck interior, as I can tell.
Oh yeah, but you know, you see how big the interior is though?
Yeah.
That's what they sold. I'm a big dude, and that's what I like about this truck. Try to steer that steering wheel. That's what they call Armstrong steering. There's no power steering on that. So the trick for non-power steering vehicles is always have it running, moving, and it's easier to do that. It also has a 4-speed manual transmission with a clutch, and what that means is that we have a granny gear and then 3 forward speeds.
Oh, okay.
It has a radio, and it's so cool. It's from the 1970s. It has an FM converter,
Oh.
none of which works, but that's okay. It's a farm truck.